Welcome to this week's episode of Tell Me More. It's Engagement Month at FBCA, and we talk all about it and just the life of one who is trying to fulfill the Great Commission, be faithful, be engaged. We go into our own experiences, and it's really meaningful, and we're glad you're listening.
Welcome to Tell Me More. It's Engagement Month.
It's Engagement Month.
It is. It's awesome.
Forget all those other months. It's Engagement Month.
It's the most wonderful. No, wait, that's coming.
That's coming. That's coming.
I don't know. This is pretty wonderful.
This is pretty awesome, actually.
Okay, I'll moderate
Especially
this one.
Sunday.
These two dudes are riding a high.
Especially Sunday.
These two dudes are riding a high.
It's pretty awesome.
Because yesterday was a good day at First Baptist
It was
Arlington.
a great day.
It was.
Don't sell it
was
short.
Well, I would just argue that so was October 27th or 26th, which had the capstone of the service of remembrance. So,
That's
every Sunday is a
exactly
good
You
Sunday.
can toot your horn.
I love the service of remembrance. I think it's very important for
It
us.
is very important.
It was
Totally.
sweet, wasn't it?
But it's Engagement Month.
It's Engagement Month.
Yeah. So, okay, I mean, there's a lot to talk about. I feel like we've been leading up to it. Obviously, in the engagement team, been working up to it.
Mm-hmm.
So much work, just good, hard work goes into this. Thinking about Sarah Pursley, who's so behind the scenes, but holds so much together.
So much.
Let's just take a pause.
God bless Sarah Pursley.
Hopefully, y'all
all
know.
three of us are members of the engagement team.
I'm
All
on the
three of us right
engagement
here.
are.
I'm on the engagement team.
But Sarah Pursley, home from Slovenia.
Yes, hopefully y'all know who we're talking about. Sarah and Ryan and their kids are sent workers in Slovenia since that they had kind of ended their season there, done what they
It's like
felt called to do.
8 years? I think.
7 or 8.
8
Yeah,
years, I
they
believe.
weren't just
Pretty sure.
touring.
8 years.
They moved there. Yeah, they went
Incredible.
there for 8 years. Sarah was on our staff before she left. She was good then.
That's
But
what I told her Sunday.
Turns out, then you bring her
Everything
back.
Sarah does, she just makes it better.
Yes, but then you bring her back, put her in the right seat here. She's pretty good now.
Yeah.
So good.
Really
and
fun.
Ryan as well. They're just two
Yes,
very
absolutely.
talented, committed people,
Yeah.
and the Lord
Faithful.
used them powerfully in Slovenia.
Yeah.
And now
they're
they're
not,
here.
They have no need for the spotlight.
No, neither one of them.
No, I think Sarah, I work more closely with Sarah, so I don't mean to leave Ryan out, but Sarah can handle herself if she's got a mic. She did yesterday. She trained
did.
the parents
can.
and
She
support raising.
Sure did.
But man, you just give her a project, she can handle it. So really fun to have her on the team.
But just
as well.
the campus yesterday, all the flags. And one of the fun things for me was watching members of our church who are part of our church family, who are from all over the world, getting their photos made in front of their flag. I took several of those yesterday. Of,
it's so fun.
Church members.
means a lot.
Check a picture of me in front
It
of my
means a
flag. And so I love that.
And
then just,
David has a good thumb on the pulse with the children's ministry
Yes.
of who is in his ministry.
Yes.
So he tries to
Speaking
make
of
sure
things
those
Sarah Pursley does.
he tries to make sure those flags
there's
are
like
there.
a 30-minute conversation about flags, where flags go out of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
What
flags
needs to
go
go
where.
And we
What
want to
goes
make
where.
sure our people.
It's awesome.
A couple of years ago,
needs to be seen.
maybe just actually this year, Ashley and I were at Ascent. We were all four were in the room, and someone on stage said, we just have a really multicultural church. He said something like, I think we have 18 nations represented. And I texted Ashley and I said, I bet we have more than that. Yeah. It's not really we don't lead with that as an identity marker. We're proud of it. I want you to hear that. But I don't know that we got on stage and just brag. Anyway, I'm making that sound. But I was like, Ashley, you think we got 18? And she and I just started they were talking, making this list of how many
it's
nations
so
we
many.
thought were represented. I personally could churn out 20. Ashley added about 7 I didn't know about in addition to those. I think we got up to, I don't want to over exaggerate. I don't know if it was 30.
We're in the ballpark of 30.
Yeah. And it was,
And it's people that we know.
and it's just our church.
people.
I mean, and it was like, oh yeah, Bokeh is from Kenya, but like Bokeh's ours. I mean, like it's not tokenism. I hope, man, I hope
Yeah.
we're not doing tokenism.
No.
I hope it's true representation, but it's just really fun.
our family.
But when you think about how to it's going to really make Nushin feel valued if we have that, Iranian flag prominent.
And she had her photo made yesterday.
Yes, and
She
but we kind of know that, and it's like, let's get the Iranian flag where she's going to see it, and it just
South
helps.
Korean flag went by the choir hallway.
I wonder why.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, and again, I hope we're not. We do talk about this that we're not doing tokenism. We're not just casting this to look good, but we're trying
It's our
to
family.
do representation
Yeah,
and
these are
help people
people.
know that we care about them and that we believe we're best when we're all together and at the
We do.
table. So,
We
speaking
really
of the
do.
table, do we want to talk about it, or is there
Well,
more? I mean,
before we leave
that's the thing. We got
campus,
to land on that. Yeah.
In the children's building, one of the things that we do with our partnering workers, particularly in West Africa, is we provide motorcycles along with Restore Hope for our church planters. And then we provide goats for our pastors once the churches get planted. And I mean,
Just to connect the dots, why would you want goats?
Well,
Just making sure people
Goats
understand that.
are easier to take care of than cattle. They can live on a lot less.
So it's it's an
It's a
economic,
much more economical
it's a business
way.
model for them.
Yeah,
Yes,
so they can
yes.
either drink the milk, they
drink
can
the
turn
milk.
it into stuff and sell it. I mean,
right.
They can
so
breed them.
They
They
can,
breed
just
them
making
and
sure.
they produce much
Yeah.
quicker than cattle.
It's like handing someone a small business.
It is,
That's-
and then
that
that
can help
allows them. And
yeah.
plus, they're living in the village, in the community, so they're going to have to farm. But the goats give them a little leg up, if you will, so to speak. And so we provide goats for the pastors.
Anyway,
Once we get the church
just want to make
planted,
sure everybody understood that. Okay.
right? So
Yeah,
it is like
motorbikes for our
It's a
workers.
family business. The motorcycles make it more accessible, and not only that. On those motorcycles, we actually provide the ability for them to show the Jesus film. And so they have little projectors, and it's just a whole outfit. We also have audio Bibles that we give to them to distribute. And so it's one of the best return on investments.
yeah, like
there
a
is.
$1,400 motorbike, which is what it costs. We'll plant somewhere in the ballpark of 15 to 20 churches.
Exactly.
Y'all catch that?
Yeah.
You know what that would cost in
Yeah. Oh,
Arlington,
here,
Texas.
You got to be kidding me.
You want to
Yeah.
go plant a church in
It's
76013.
Yeah.
It ain't $1,400.
Yes. And so having these evangelists on motorcycles and the roads are, they're going to places where it's very difficult to get to. Now, and we still have a great number of them who are still walking because they don't yet have a motorcycle, and they don't complain at all. They're just walking because they feel called. But to have our children be able to get their photo on a motorcycle like they're in a village in West Africa
With a
and
goat.
goats there. It's just
A great vision.
Yes.
You know, we
Teaching
always
these
kind of
children.
joke like vision's great, but then you have people that can pull it together, like do the
Exactly.
work. And
Yes.
so
So awesome.
the McDougalls loaned their kid-sized dirt bike, which
That's
is just so fun. Like you hope that's going to emerge. But and I saw Jason up here installing it. I'm guessing he built the base. He was installing it to make sure the kids could actually
it kind
get.
of moves a little bit when you get on it because
But
I
it's-
got my picture
yeah.
made yesterday. It kind of gives like
But it's
whoa.
stable enough. Like there's this wooden base,
Yeah.
which is really thoughtful because, of course, every kid's going to want to jump on it for a
of
picture,
course.
and
What's the
whomever.
goal?
And some adults.
Yeah.
I took a picture with Gabe on it
Oh, that's
because
great. Yeah.
since he
It's his
helps
world.
oversee
Yeah.
that for us in West Africa.
And there's
So-
also vending machines that you can put quarters in that dispense stickers. So there's this
Bring your
interactive
quarters,
element. So bring your quarters to
and
church.
or we might have some.
Yeah,
to
we're
help
gonna
with
try to
that.
provide
There's
some
QR
next
code.
week.
So
And it's just a visual of what your engagement offering goes to
Yes,
when you
yes.
give to that fund.
And then the world map in the Charlie Hamill
you
Welcome
can just
Center.
pray over the world.
You can write a prayer note over.
I like that
these
because it's
places
simple,
in
but
the
it's
world.
like
Yes.
not. I mean,
yeah,
but
it's great.
effective. We're asking people to
Yes.
pray for the nations.
And the
This is a
Mission
good thing.
magazine that you all produced.
Yeah,
is
it's a
so
white. If y'all just see, it's white with some
informational,
nice colors on it. Just grab one.
inspirational.
I'm guessing we have it online, but I actually haven't asked. It usually
we may
is.
have a PDF version, but I don't think it reads as well as the paper
No,
version.
the
makes
paper
sense, 'cause
makes-
it's a large document.
so good. And it's one of those things that you can take and keep from now on because it provides definitions and explanations of what we're doing and why we're doing it. And it has our heat map, our relationship map, if you will, so you can just see everywhere we're connected. I mean, it's really, really well done. So just all of that surrounding
when you walk in.
anything
Even
and
when just-
curriculum that was
So-
prepared for all of our Bible studies.
Right. We're on the same. We're
departments.
trying to be on the same page. So, Luke,
good.
when we walk in next week, it's gonna be different.
It will. So we're going to have our local partners here on campus. So for you to get connected, to learn how you can serve
So
locally.
kind of a fair. of
Yeah,
booths.
fair with booths. It'll actually be people who work for those nonprofits and organizations here on our campus. So we've got, Mission Arlington, Dallas area asylum seeker housing. I think International Friends, Into the Light, Taste Project, Metroplex Women's Clinic, Christian Women's Job Corps.
Is that all you could get? Just those.
Yeah,
I'm
just
probably
Bottom of the barrel.
missing some.
Yeah.
but
great.
But we've even made a
It's our
schedule
network.
where you can look at here's a week kind of overview of just an average week and when these different organizations are open to volunteers. So you can look at this calendar and see, well, I'm free on Thursdays at noon. Where could I serve?
Yeah. That was a
we've got
great
schedule.
idea.
So
It's good.
trying
I
to make
love
it
that,
easy
yeah.
for you to get involved.
And then I don't want to shoot too far because obviously we'll be back in this very
We
studio
are sponsored by
talking.
First Baptist
That's
Arlington.
right.
You want to talk about that? This weekend at First Baptist Arlington, I've got two things for you. Surviving the holidays, Saturday morning, and there's a women's event Sunday afternoon.
Abide, right?
Abide. Chelsea's speaking. It's kind of dwell. Kind of a what can the women's ministry
for grown-ups.
What can the women's ministry do to bless dwell? So it's dwell for grown-ups, and then a craft that will go with the girls to dwell.
And the quilt fair is also happening Sunday morning.
Get it? There's
Oh, is that right? It's
Stuff
coming
is
Sunday?
going on.
I didn't know that. Okay.
So, and then next
I
Sunday,
think I'm going to come.
I think I'll be there.
Yeah. But let me say surviving the holidays, because if you don't, it's grief share and divorce care, but it's a standalone. So if you're like, I haven't gone all semester, no, it's just a one-time thing. You can come as you are, come to the one thing. It's very practical about what's Thanksgiving and Christmas going to look like.
Yeah.
Now that my life looks
Yeah,
different.
it could be very different.
Really great leaders.
Yeah.
It's very no
So
judgment.
good.
Just show up at 9:30
So
and we'll
good.
get you in a room. It is.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is great. So and
Saturday,
then,
9:30, main building. That's all.
and then next week, or 2 weeks from now, we'll have an engagement trip fair where you
Yeah,
can
that's
learn
what it's
all
called.
about all of the trips that our church is going to take over the next year. We, I think, currently send around 10% of our youth through adult Sunday school population. That's kind of how we count it. And we have a goal of getting to 20%. So we'd love,
be awesome.
we're increasing the number of trips we offer. So there's some more flexibility for people and when they go, how long they go, where they go. So just trying to increase what we're able to offer. So there's so much in this month that's really worthy of being involved in and coming and learning.
It's a
I have more questions, but I don't want to derail.
Go for it.
The Sunday service.
Go for it.
Well-
we've got time.
Okay, here's my
Sundays.
question. Why would someone want to go on a trip? Why do they need to go on a
Man.
trip? Can they just follow Jesus here?
You can just follow Jesus here, and you should follow Jesus here.
we highly,
This is not
highly
it's not a
recommend.
binary
Out of
choice.
10, recommend.
This is not A or
Highly
B. Just
recommend
to be
it.
clear.
Yeah, this is not a binary.
Yeah.
I think we start to take for granted how much we are shaped by our culture. And so you live in Arlington, Texas, you go to work in Arlington, Texas, or Grand Prairie, or Mansfield, or wherever you may be, and life just becomes normal. And you actually stop really consciously thinking about what it means to follow Jesus in your own context. So if we're just talking on the what's the benefit to me side, when you go on an engagement trip, what it does is that it forces you out of your daily rhythm. It puts you in a new context, a new environment where there are different assumptions about how the world works. There's a different way that church works. We've talked about Sierra Leone. You know, a $1,400 motorbike can plant 15 to 20 churches and you need a goat. And so we'll send people to West Africa to engage in the work there. And it's going to change the way you see. And we'll send people, you know, I think about the trip we just had a few people on in Montreal in October and September. You know, it changes the way you... Whoa, knocking
hold
my
on,
own cup.
Hold on.
If you're listening, we almost spilled some tea.
Well, it's empty. I drank all the tea.
Oh.
But it changes the way you see. You know, if you go to Quebec and you're working with French-speaking Canadians and there's this aggressive secular reality from a government side that makes church hard to plant, hard to manage, hard to grow, then it's going to change the way you think about ministry, the way you think about mission. And so then you come home and you see your own context in a different light that you didn't see it in before, because now you've been with other believers. And so it kind of helps you assess the lens with which you're viewing home and then be a, I think, more attentive follower of Jesus where you are. Not to mention you go and you help people.
Right, whatever the task.
Whatever the
trip
task is.
That might even be a pejorative way to say it,
Yeah.
but the mission,
Whatever the goal
doing
is, you
is.
go and you
Yeah.
help in whatever way that is. You provide assistance. You build relationships with the broader body of Christ. I think about the table we had on Sunday. Those are real, rich relationships we have with Raymond and Sergio. But that's just as true. You know, if you go to our work in West Africa, you're going to get connected to our national partners there. If you go to Quebec and you're working with French-speaking Canadians, you're going to meet Raphael Onzenberger and you're going to form a relationship with him. And these relationships are transformative. That's, you know, the church is a set of relationships fundamentally. And so when you go and you engage in a broader set of church relationships that just inform your discipleship in such a rich way.
D-Dub, anything you'd add?
Well, I would just say all of that I would say amen to. And it just, to me, when you engage with another culture, intentionally, and you're doing it for the sake of the gospel, it just alters your perspective. You're just never the same after that for so many reasons. You see just how God is at work in a different place, and sometimes in a way that's a little different than you've experienced Him. And the partnerships are so meaningful, and it changes your prayer life. I went most of my life, I never even thought about praying for Jesus to appear in visions and dreams to leaders in the Muslim family, and particularly in our West African context. But I have learned that many, many Muslims will convert to Christ because they've had a vision of Jesus visiting them in a dream. Well, there was a time in my life where my theology didn't even allow for that, But then I've come to realize that God is working in ways that, first of all, He hasn't sought my permission. Imagine that, and He's not necessarily bound by my theological framework. And so now it's a regular part of my prayer life that I pray that God will appear to Muslim chiefs and leaders across the world in visions and dreams, because He does it, and it's transformative for people. But I learned that on a mission trip, where I sat down and heard these stories, and then also just the burden that you now feel when you find yourself, particularly in the unreached parts of the world. You just now carry a burden for them, and so it's transformative. And plus, I just love the partnership that you experience when you're on a mission trip with your church family and you're engaged in something that's incredibly important and meaningful, and you do that together. It creates a bond and relationships that you bring back to the church that just changes how you view each other, changes how you treat each other, changes how you talk to each other. You just share more about how God is at work in your prayer life, and it just enriches community.
We used to say in college ministry that if a student came on a trip with us, mission, retreat, doesn't matter in this regard, if they came on a trip with us, then they're in.
Yeah.
Then they're one of us.
Yeah, it just changes.
It's crazy.
You,
Even a 2-night retreat. If they went, then they're one of us.
Important.
And so, there's a lot of angles.
And it's helping to fulfill the Great Commission. Jesus told us to go, basically, as you go, make disciples. As you go, proclaim the good news. So it's a part of the calling of God. So to me, as I've said in the past, I think you have two options as a Christian. You either go or send, and hopefully you can do some of both. So if you're not going to actually be going actively and long term, then you've got to participate in the sending of others, because we're compelled to go, and we've got to go in the right posture and the right spirit, and we do it in ways I believe that are missiologically sound. Yeah. We've learned a lot through the years.
My goodness.
And so we're when you talk about how physicians will take this oath to do no harm, well, that's really our oath as well. In our mission work, we're not going to do any harm. We're not going to make things worse. We're not going to promise things that are unrealistic. We've learned. And so we train people. We provide adequate training and resources so we know the posture and just the way that we carry ourselves, And we're also there to learn, because God is at work in so many ways in so many people's lives. Like for example, for me, sometimes I'll be in my office studying, looking at, I'm reading all the resources that are available to me. And I still have in my mind, one night I was in West Africa in a village. We were camping out, and one of our team members was not feeling well, and Cindy was worried about her. So we decided we would stay up in shifts just to make sure she was okay. Sorry about that. So I got the first shift of the night, and so everybody had gone to bed. I said, okay, so I'll put my little chair outside of my tent and this other volunteer's tent. Well, one of our evangelists, an indigenous Fulani evangelist, brilliant guy, hardly any opportunity for education, but he had worked really hard so that he could read and study. And he had 2 books. He had a Bible, and he had this little kind of companion Bible study guide that was available in his language, because things are so limited for him. And so he came over to me, and everybody was going to bed, and he came over, and he didn't speak any English, but he was trying to figure out, why are you still up? What are you doing? I want to help. And we communicated, enough to say I'm okay. His name is Umaru, and I know Umaru well. It's okay. You don't worry about it. Well, that wasn't good enough for him. So he went and got his stuff. He just sleeps outside. So he went and got his stuff and brought it over to where I was and just put it down. He was not going to let me, in other words, sit up outside by myself. He just wasn't going to do that. And he's one of our church planters. So he puts his stuff right there by me. And I tried to tell him, all right, it's fine. You can go to St. Louis. Oh, no. And I mean, so finally, he gets positioned kind of on his side on his little mat. He gets his Bible out and his little book, and he has a flashlight that he's kind of captured between his neck and his shoulder. And he's sitting there reading. And that's all he has, and he's doing his work kind of on our behalf with just the Bible and one companion, very simple Bible study notebook. And I sat there and watched him as I was sitting in this chair. And I thought, so here's a guy that's given his life to sharing the gospel. He's brave. In his village, when they had after he became a Christian, became a believer, they had a little boy, and they had the naming ceremony, which is a big deal in that part of West Africa. And the chief always attends, and the chief announces the name, if it's a boy in particular, the name of the new son that's been given to the village. And it typically is a family name, something that's kind of carried down through their family heritage. And Umaru named his son John the Baptist. And I forget how you say it in his language, and so this chief was like, I'm sorry, what? So the whole village is there, and he says, well, why are you doing this? And he said, well, is that a family name? No, it's not a family name at all. And he tells the chief, it's come from the Injil, from the New Testament. And John the Baptist is the man who paved the way for the Messiah. And he said, so my son is going to grow up and pave the way for the Messiah in our world. That's Umaru. So just think about that. Okay, so sometimes I'll be sitting in my study at home in my reading chair with my temperature-controlled room surrounded by the best scholarship available to humanity, and I'll think about Umaru.
Curated lighting, I mean, the whole thing.
Everything.
Yeah, it's made for that moment.
Yes, and I will stop and I'll just say, Lord, I have no idea where Umaru is right now, but I know that he's faithful to you. He's still studying your word. And so I find myself connected to this guy in West Africa. Well, that would have never happened had I not gone on a trip and met him myself and saw what he does. And it reframes things for me. So why go on a trip? Oh, my goodness. I mean, if you can, you need to go. And those of us who get to the point where you can't, well, then you need to send. You need to make sure others can go. Yeah. And not only that, we're sending them as well. So we're connected, just like Umaru. We're still connected to him, and Adamu and several of these men. We're still making sure that they're able to go. So yeah, it connects to a long journey for me and Cindy. When we first started all this, when we decided to go to seminary, we had no idea what God was calling us to do. Cindy felt called to be a missionary when she was a little girl. She was like 9 or 10 years old. And I wasn't really sure, but I had a heart for missions, and we were just trying to decide what are we supposed to do with our lives. And so I was trying to get in medical school, and I'd told Cindy, well, maybe I'll be a medical missionary, and just we'll do it that way. And she was trying to get into PT school, got accepted actually. And for some reason, that just didn't seem like enough. Cindy's mother was a parish nurse kind of before anybody really even understood that. She went from house to house in their community, giving people B12 shots. Her mother was a nurse, so she worked for one of the doctors there. And so Cindy used to go with her and go and visit these elderly folks in the community. And Cindy spent time going to, she went to camps for special needs kids. And so we thought, well, maybe it's medical, But for whatever reason, that just didn't feel deep enough, didn't connect deeply enough with us. So we said, well, then let's go. And back in those days, half of the missionaries that Southern Baptist sent were from Southwestern Seminary. And so that seemed to be the place to go if that's what you were going to do. So we arrived with this, we stepped inside this huge funnel, if you will, thinking it was missions. And so when we got to the seminary and kind of all that got started, that seemed to be where God was leading us, and so we began to apply for to be missionaries with the International Mission Board. But I had no ministry experience, and so they just said, "Look, you've never really done anything, and so you don't even know what you can do." And so, which was smart if you think about it. They just said, "Look, you're going to have to get some experience." And so I really didn't know what that meant. And so I was in chapel one day at Southwestern, and we were Baker James Cawthon. There was a missionary speaker. I don't remember who the missionary speaker was. I've forgotten. But Baker James Cawthon was the legendary president of what used to be called the Foreign Mission Board for Southern Baptists. Now it's called the International Mission Board. And it really kind of a short in stature man, but a deep, booming voice, and just a very famous missions leader in my early lifetime in this work. And he did the invitation that day in chapel. And when he gave the invitation, he called for people who were called to missions, who believed they were supposed to be full-time missionaries. And a good number of people came forward, and I was I was at the back during the invitation, and I just couldn't. Cindy wasn't there with me, so I just didn't feel like I could go because I didn't know. And then he said, "Okay," he said, "I'm wondering why all the rest of y'all are still where you are." And he said, "Well, obviously God doesn't call everybody to this. That's just not your full-time calling." He said, "But here's what I would say, though. God has given the Great Commission to all of us." And he said, "So I'm going to ask you right now if you'll just say to the Lord and to yourself that you're going to do everything that you can do, regardless of what you end up doing with your life. If you're going to be a pastor or a music minister, whatever it is that you plan to do, if you will say to the Lord, I'm going to do my part as best I know how to fulfill the Great Commission, no matter where I serve." Well, I was the first one down. I literally almost ran down the aisle. I still remember it, just like it was yesterday, and looking up at Baker James Cawthon. And he prayed a prayer over those who felt called to missions, and then he prayed a prayer over the rest of us. And I still remember that moment in my life that I said to the Lord, "Okay, I'm going to do that as best I know how." And so when you get involved in all that we're doing right now, it's actually connected for me to something that I responded to when I was younger than y'all. I was still in my 20s in those days, and I've given my life to try to do it as best I could. Now, one day I'm going to stand before the Lord and give account for it, but I've at least tried to make sure that the churches that I served understood the calling of the Great Commission to get the gospel to the world. And it's looked differently in every church. But I would say for me and Cindy, in particular, this month is a very personal month for us just because it strikes at the very heart of how we first started all of this, and so obviously she more than me have spent a lot of time going, and there was one year Cindy was gone 72 days, not that I counted, but she was overseas a lot in that particular season of our life. And but I have great admiration and respect for her because I know how deep it is. There are times when I sometimes will come home. This has happened numerous times in our marriage, and Cindy will just be distraught. Occasionally, I've found her weeping, and I'm wondering what is going on. Has something happened? And it's her weeping over the unreached peoples of the world. And she'll just say, "I'm just so overwhelmed tonight. I just can't even go to bed because I'm so burdened for the Fulani." And so we'll just stay up with each other and pray and cry. And so it's embedded deeply within us personally. And so to see some of it lived out in our church and fulfilled in ministries like Restore Hope and Ascent, it's hard for me to explain. I don't know that I have the words to explain to y'all what it means to us to just see it right in front of us and know that we've had a very small part in it. But wherever we can put our hands on it, we want to make it healthy and breathe life into it and support it as best we can, because it answers something in us that really brought us to seminary to begin with so many years ago. So yeah, it's so Sunday morning for me. I wasn't even sure I was going to be able to do it. Just because.
Which part?
Just going up and leading the church beside Raymond and Sergio, because it just answers something. It calls forth from something from within me that just feels so fulfilled, to believe that I'm at a church now to where you can just call on church members who, like Raymond and Sergio, to come help you share the Lord's Supper. And they represent so many people in the world, and they represent places that we have felt called to serve missionally. And to think that our work in Spain in particular as a church, is being conducted right now in Arabic, in Spanish, and English. And it's one of the most significant things that we're doing right now in terms of getting the gospel to a strategic place in the world. And the fact that we could capture some of that in our own church and not have to go out somewhere and hire somebody to come help us do it.
Right.
These are authentically our people who are living out their calling.
This is who First Baptist Arlington is.
Yes. So I was just overwhelmed by all that Sunday morning. I was sitting there thinking, okay, I can do this without crying. I can do it. And I was just humbled by it. So yeah. So trying to put all that into words is hard to do. There are just certain things that, like, for example, every time we sing A Mighty Fortress Is Our God, we can't sing that last verse. We just can't do it. It's let goods and kindred go, this mortal life also. The body they may kill, but God's truth abideth still. Well, it's just too emotional for me. I can't even sing it. I just have to let y'all sing it around me, because it's what we felt like we were called to go do. And we've tried to live it out in the life of a local church. And so, yeah, it's incredibly fulfilling for me, So, and then to be surrounded by Ashley and Luke and you, Katy, and Sarah and Kurt and
best of the best,
and then just factor it out. All these different,
you could just keep naming
missionally
it, right?
invested people in this church. All the folks that work so hard on the board, Peggy and Linda and Steve McCowan and
legends.
just giants to me. And Rebecca Dark and
Jack Ballou.
And
I feel
Dan
bad because we're going to leave
Friend.
people out.
Too many to
Eloy
list if we
Sepulveda.
did not name you.
Yeah, I mean,
If we have not named you.
Yeah, you just look at all
We
these
love you.
people and you're like, seriously, Nathan and Beth. I mean, people that just pause their lives, and some of them have been doing it here locally at Mission Arlington, Tilly, and all of that, and people have been doing it. Yes, just
every day.
yeah. I just look at it and I
All day, every
think,
day.
okay, Lord, you've let me have a taste of it, And so if I think about it too much, it just it's too much for
overwhelming.
me. Yeah, so I have to kind of I have to dial it back.
It's also okay
Just
to be
so I can live
overwhelmed.
into it.
Here, the female care pastor can tell you, you can do it while crying.
Well, true.
You don't have, you can be overwhelmed by it and still do it.
Yeah.
It ought to be
Not all
overwhelming.
tears are tears of sadness.
It ought to be overwhelming.
Yeah,
At some
and
point.
it is, and
that's okay.
And to see the authenticity Sunday morning when we go up to that table. First of all, just to be reminded of what Jesus has done for us. Let's just start with that. Just, I mean, his life and his sacrifice for us, and then to decide Sunday morning to invite Pastor Raymond and Pastor Sergio to join us.
Yeah.
And as I said Sunday, and with us three men sitting on that platform, that's like 2.5 billion people on planet Earth, represented by those three
just a
language
handful.
groups. Yeah. And think about the millions of Christians yesterday across the world who took the Lord's Supper in some form, either in English or Spanish or Arabic. And we didn't even do Mandarin or Hindi,
Right.
the other two massive
Gosh, then just get the
languages.
whole
And we probably
then you
could
just
have.
get
But we could have. We could have had some church members come up there and help us do that.
We
had
could have
chosen.
pulled people up.
We could have. We could have done it on the spot.
likely.
Just grab
Likely.
people out of the car
Yep.
and come sit with us. And why don't you do this in Hindi real quick? And why don't you do this in Mandarin? We could have. They were there Sunday.
Yeah. And to be honest, behind the scenes, we talked about all this.
Yeah.
We went with our
Yeah.
we went with the ordained ministers.
That's right.
Because that represents something.
Right.
We didn't want to do tokenism.
Right.
And just cast it.
Exactly.
We wanted. I mean, we thought through a ton of angles and
did.
what if
We
this?
did.
What if this?
It was a long conversation.
And then eventually landed on that, which and I'm not saying that's the
No,
perfect thing.
but look how beautiful
But
it was
we
and
considered
how-
a lot about how that might all play together.
Yes. And a picture of the global body of Christ.
And even, I think we can say this and be honest about it. Sometimes when we think about Arabic, at least growing up in my 9/11 childhood, we have some deep stereotypes that
course.
are bad.
Yes.
And I have to confess them because
Yes.
I grew up in a small town and I was 15 when 9/11 happened, and very formative. So even the kind of this subversiveness of having someone lead us in a faithful Christian pastor,
Yes.
lead us in Arabic, and us submit to that. That's a good gesture.
We'll just remind
That's
everybody.
a good, thoughtful gesture.
There were Arabic-speaking Christians long before
Exactly.
there were Christians in Europe.
Yes. We just have a lot to undo around that.
That's what I told Raymond and Ida. I said, people were praising Jesus in your language before we were ever thought of. And it was awesome.
But if you don't have
The
the
gospel made it to
exposure,
Lebanon before it made it to Europe.
but if you don't
Exactly.
have the exposure like you're talking about,
Yeah.
then you
That's
don't
right.
know.
That's right.
And or you might forget,
Right.
and you don't understand. I think having that on the stage in the sanctuary at First Baptist Arlington,
And the humility of it
significant.
to me. I mean, you think about Americans are so, in general, we're just very provincial, and everything comes to us. That's how we view the world. Everybody has to learn to speak English if you're going to talk to us, and I'm in that. I get it. It's just how we treat the world. And for us to be seated in a room and sit while someone is sharing the story of the most precious story to us in two different languages, and us sit and listen, knowing that you don't understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
Now we had a lot of people that could
Which is
speak
a very
Spanish.
normal experience
Yes.
for many people in our church every Sunday.
Exactly. Yeah, they're having to listen to it in another language. But I was sitting there thinking some people might have been uncomfortable with it, and it's so good because we need to be reminded that everything doesn't just come to us. That's not how this is. We're not the center of the universe. We're just not,
Yeah.
The gospel is so much bigger.
Well, and this is what
than we are.
polycentric mission is about,
Exactly.
which we've talked about. And what you have framed is this idea of monocentric mission. There's one center of mission. Mission, for most of missions history was conceived of is it came from Europe or North America. And so it had one center, Western culture.
Right.
But we're now in this polycentric missional age where we've recognized mission is everyone to everywhere.
And the example of that to me is our work in Spain. There's an Egyptian Arabic church that leads that ministry, an African
Oh my gosh.
set of Christians, not us. We are there.
just coming alongside.
That's all we're doing.
Well, and you know what's wild? Just to highlight the polycentrism of the
when
way
we say
things-
we're talking about a Mexican-born
Yes.
worker
exactly
that we
right.
sent.
That's right.
I mean,
Right.
a Spanish-speaking,
Yeah,
now
Guillermo.
Arabic-speaking,
That's right.
Mexican-born worker who
got
married
it.
one of our American girls, and
Who
went.
grew
I
up
mean,
in our church.
it's not monocultural even in that.
right.
But then you start thinking about the polycentric nature of everything. And, this summer we're going to send our youth to Toronto to work with an organization called Toronto Remix, which does basically missional equipping in the city of Toronto. And we had found it through some recommendations for people we've connected through with Ascent on the Canadian side. And we're kind of scoping it out. And then we start kind of tracing the lines. Well, Remix went and ran a program in Spain with this church out of Egypt. And so the organization we had started looking for with our youth actually already works with our partner ministry
In Spain.
in Spain.
And all of a sudden you say, oh,
And then
Wow.
it's,
oh,
this is clearly
Of course.
the way we should go.
Of course, as God continues to lead. So yeah, I just loved all of it Sunday. Like I said, the humility of it, the beauty of it, the richness of it. To listen to Raymond basically proclaim the gospel in an ancient tongue in our sanctuary in an articulate way, and then my brother Sergio to share just passionately in Spanish, the meaning of communion, and to watch our people listening and reading at the same time, but knowing what they're talking about because they know what this is. They know what this moment is. And I love to watch how our people responded when these two men in their own language instructed us to take the bread and take the juice. None of us knew what they were saying, but it didn't matter. We were in this moment of experiencing something together at a common table. And then to get the commissioning of the church afterwards was like the exclamation point for the day. And so, yeah,
What a day.
I went home full for sure.
What a day.
Yeah. So there you go.
we could keep talking, but we actually have 3 more of these this month.
That's right.
We do.
We'll have
So
more to talk
why don't we
about
put a
next
pin in
time.
it?
Okay. We'll be back next week.
We hope y'all are too. Thanks for listening to the Tell Me More podcast today. You can subscribe to this podcast on your app of choice, or you can visit us at fbca.org to find out more information about the podcast and our church. Thanks for listening. Have a good day.